And we are working with stagflation. To help us recall, let us draw out a aggregate supply and demand curve. So on our y-axis we have price level. And on our x-axis we have real GDP. So we have so this downward sloping curve is our aggregate demand, short run aggregate demand. Okay, and actually you don't need a short run, it could just be aggregate demand because there is only one aggregate demand. And then we also have the upward sloping line as our short run aggregate supply, and this vertical line, which passes through the intersection of the aggregate demand and the short run aggregate supply, is our long run aggregate supply. Okay, good. So stagflation is a leftward shift of the short run aggregate supply curve, like so. So we're going to label that SRAS1, which causes a, let me just draw those lines out. Okay, so this is the initial price level, and this is the initial real GDP. And then when the short run aggregate supply curve shifts leftward, we have a new price level, which we will indicate as PL subscript 1, and we have a new real GDP, which we will do RGDP 1. Okay, so stagflation is a leftward shift of the short run aggregate supply curve, which leads to a higher price level, which is inflation, and a lower real GDP level, which is an indicator of recession. So a supply shock, which for example could be a huge decrease in let's say oil, so that could lead, or an increase in the price of oil, which is a natural resource, which is an input for a lot of goods that are created in the US. So if there's a huge price increase, that means that these organizations, companies, firms, which use it as an input in their products, can now supply less because the cost of inputs is more. So that would lead to the price level increasing and real GDP decreasing through a leftward shift of the short run aggregate supply curve. And therefore, a supply shock such as this might lead to stagflation. And that is the end of the question.